Apollo 1, 1967. During a routine launch rehearsal in 1967, the Apollo 1 crew was inside the spacecraft performing system checks on the launch pad. Everything seemed normal. The cabin was filled with pure oxygen at high pressure, a condition NASA used during early missions. But inside such an environment, even a small spark could become deadly. Then suddenly, a fire started. Within seconds, flames spread rapidly through the cabin. The oxygen-rich atmosphere caused the fire to grow uncontrollably fast. Inside, temperatures rose instantly. Thick smoke filled the spacecraft as wires and materials began burning around the crew. The astronauts tried to escape, but there was a major problem. The hatch opened inward, and the increasing pressure inside the cabin made it impossible to open quickly. As the fire consumed the capsule, communication with the crew suddenly stopped. The astronauts died from smoke inhalation and extreme heat before rescue teams could reach them. The accident completely changed NASA's spacecraft safety systems. Challenger disaster. In 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger launched in front of millions of viewers watching live on television. Just 73 seconds after liftoff, the mission turned into disaster. Cold weather before launch had weakened a rubber seal known as an O-ring on one of the solid rocket boosters. As the shuttle climbed higher, hot gases escaped through the damaged seal. At first, nothing seemed wrong from inside the spacecraft. Then, the structure failed. A massive explosion tore the shuttle apart in the sky. The crew cabin separated and continued falling at high speed toward the ocean. Inside, the astronauts likely remained conscious for part of the descent. There was no escape system. No way to regain control. The cabin eventually impacted the ocean at extreme speed. All 7 crew members were killed. The Challenger disaster became one of the most shocking moments in spaceflight history. Columbia disaster, 2003. The Space Shuttle Columbia was returning to Earth after completing a 16-day mission in space. During launch, a piece of insulating foam had broken off and struck the shuttle's left wing. At the time, the damage did not appear critical, but during re-entry, everything changed. As Columbia entered Earth's atmosphere, at over 17,000 miles per hour, superheated air began entering the damaged wing. Temperatures inside the structure rose rapidly. Sensors started failing one by one. Communication became unstable. The wing weakened as heat spread deeper into the spacecraft. Then, the shuttle began breaking apart high above Earth. Inside, the crew had almost no time to react. The spacecraft disintegrated while traveling at hypersonic speed. All 7 astronauts lost their lives. The accident showed how even small damage in space can become catastrophic during re-entry. Soyuz 11, 1971. Soyuz 11 was the first mission to successfully dock with a space station and complete a long-duration stay in orbit. After finishing the mission, the crew prepared to return to Earth. But during re-entry preparations, a pressure valve inside the capsule accidentally opened. Air immediately began escaping into space. There was no explosion, no warning sound, only rapid cabin depressurization. Inside the capsule, pressure dropped within seconds. The crew was not wearing pressure suits. As oxygen levels collapsed, breathing became impossible. Vision narrowed. Coordination failed. The cosmonauts likely lost consciousness in less than a minute. By the time the capsule landed safely on Earth, all 3 crew members were already dead. It remains the only human deaths that occurred directly in space. Soyuz 1. Soyuz 1 launched in 1967 with Soviet cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov on board. Almost immediately, problems began appearing throughout the spacecraft. One solar panel failed to deploy, reducing power and affecting navigation systems. Communication became unstable, and the spacecraft became difficult to control. Despite the failures, the mission continued until re-entry. As the capsule descended toward Earth, the main parachute failed to open properly. The backup parachute also became tangled. Without enough drag to slow the capsule, it continued falling at extreme speed. Inside, there was nothing Komarov could do. The capsule crashed into the ground violently. The impact destroyed the spacecraft instantly. Soyuz 1 became the first in-flight space mission fatality in history. Nedelin Catastrophe. In 1960, Soviet engineers were preparing a massive rocket for launch at the Baikonur Cosmodrome. The schedule was behind, and pressure to launch quickly was extremely high. While technicians continued working on the fueled rocket, a major mistake occurred. The engines suddenly ignited on the launch pad. The rocket exploded instantly. A massive fireball covered the area as burning fuel spread across the ground. Many people nearby had no time to escape. Temperatures rose instantly, and the explosion destroyed almost everything around the rocket. The disaster killed dozens of engineers, technicians, and military personnel. For years, the Soviet Union kept the incident secret. It remains one of the deadliest disasters in spaceflight history.